So before last night's win over the Raptors, the Cavs had lost 3 straight. What was behind their losing streak?
Well, it's interesting, Alexa. The defensively is where this team was breaking down, and Toronto and his coaching staff, when they looked at it, said, we can score the basketball, but our breakdowns clearly have been on that defensive end, and they were doing things that were uncharacteristic of what this club had done on its run to the NBA Finals last season. A big part of that was rebounding. The Cavaliers were out rebounded each and every one of those games, and they were giving up a load of points in the paint, guys. The Cavs were giving up 50 plus points in the paint through the previous 5 games. So there were areas that Cavaliers knew that they had to pick up, and they did so. They go into Toronto against a team that's widely believed to be the Cavaliers' biggest competitor in the Eastern Conference. They out-rebound the Raptors by 15, limit the points in the paint to 32, and they did so also when you consider against 2 of the top drivers in the NBA, and Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, who love to get to the rim, love to get to that paint. So all things considered, the Cavaliers going to Toronto, it was teams going in opposite directions. The Raptors had won 6 straight. Cavaliers on that 3-game slide, but the Cavs go north of the border and beat the Raptors for the 3rd time this season already, and right the ship for this team. They certainly needed it as they headed here to New York to take on the Knicks tomorrow night.
Yeah, LeBron said that the honeymoon stage is over after that 3rd straight loss that was in Chicago. So you had the sneaking suspicion that he would come up big in the game against Toronto, and he had a game high 34 points in this one. But you kind of touched upon this, but what difference did you see in last night's performance, say, versus the Friday night performance in Chicago?
I think it boils down to intensity, Michael. I really do, and it's primarily on that defensive end. They had 2 terrific practices leading in, and you'd expect that out of a Tyronn Lue-led coaching staff and a team that's laden with veterans. Cavaliers are the most experienced team age-wise in the NBA. So they come out of 2 games, which they had vanilla performances, a back-to-back with the Clippers at home and then in Chicago against the Bulls. And what do? They have 2 great practices. They work 90% on that defensive end of the floor, and they come out getting the job done defensively in Toronto. And again, it might not look that way as the Raptors scored 112 points in the game, but the Cavs do hold the Raptors to 43%. That's where they want, opposing teams to be right around that area. So I think intensity, guys took it upon themselves, Michael. It was more of a look in the mirror type situation for this team defensively, not as much schematics, more so let's take this thing personally, and that's precisely what they did last night in Toronto.